This section is the mapping section you've been waiting for. It is mapping heaven. You'll work with your color map, of course, but then you'll also add a normal map to make use of that sculpting that you used. You'll bake the sculpting right onto the normal map and use that instead of the high resolution model. You'll add a specular map to affect the shininess and an emit map. Plus we'll do more. We'll have some rendering fun and do some touching up of the model. It's a good one. Let's look at this from the front. Switch to object mode. Shift D to duplicate him. Along the X, 5, enter. We'll select this guy and get rid of the multi-res modifier on him. Undo, undo. There. Got rid of his multi-res modifier. I'm going to go ahead and put on the subdivision surface, the level 2 that we've been using it at. Now you can see the difference between those two guys. And then I'm going to say go along the X and -5, enter. You know, one thing I need to do here is for the material, on this guy, we have his textures, but we never made this so that it could render this image texture. So I'm gonna make the image texture renderable. There's the costume, and we'll set it to UV. We'll use our UV map and its color. Color. I'm going to call this the costume texture. And over here, I'm going to call this the costume material. And I want a new texture on here. It's going to be an image. We're going to create the image. It'll just be blank. We'll just make it black. We want it to use the UVs and the UV map. And for now, it's going to affect the normals, but I'm going to have it affect the color initially, just so we can see it. Let's tab into this, select all, open up our UV editor, select our new image, and I'm going to call this the normal. This is what we're going to bake to. And then I'm going to shift select so that we have both models. Here, deselect all. First we'll click the high-res model. And the high-res model, that's our duplicate. Really, we want him. There he is. He doesn't need the texture on him. or actually, let's just get rid of the whole material. A regular guy, which is still named cube, which will change right now, hero. This is our hero multi-res. So he doesn't need the texture on him. I'm going to shift select so that both are selected, but the hero is active. And then let's come down to here, expand baking, select normals, go selected to active, and we'll say bake. And then it bakes our muscles onto our guy. Now I'm going to select the multi-res and hide it. Select our guy. And if we were to render him right now, there you go. That's because it's got the color map on there. In fact, let's turn matcap off to Alt-Z. That's better. And switch this. We'll say this is our normal map. Image sampling, it's a normal map. Image mapping, that's fine. UV, we'll switch this from color to normal. Let's give that a render. Not exactly what I was looking for, but that's because our high-res guy is still here. We have him saved in our previous file, so I'm just going to hit Alt-H to show him, X to delete him, and then go ahead and render. Hit escape. Select this guy. Costume should not be shadeless anymore. And make sure this is not affecting the color. Okay, it's affecting the normal. Let's switch to GLSL. There we go. It's a little smarter. Render. Let's move our light over. I'm just hitting F12 to render. So there's our hero, looking a little more muscular. With his normal map. I just switched to quad view with Control Alt Q, or you could just click on this button. Cool, that's looking pretty good. Let's do a save as. In the previous lesson, I neglected to remind you to save the normal map. So all you have to do is go to the normal map, choose Save as Image, and save it as an image. Now let's create another image. Say New Image. This is going to be a specular map. See how he's shiny in here? Let's say we didn't want the shirt to be shiny. Let's select this guy. Go to Materials. Come up here. Select this texture slot. New. Image. Select Specular. Notice that it says this is a generated image. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Save as image. Now you can see that the source is a single image, and that's the file that it's using. We want to use the UV map, and then we want it to affect the specular color. Our 3D view, see how matte that is? Watch, I'll turn this off. Shiny again. There, it's matte. So the black is stopping all of the specularity. Let's go into our UV editor. Tab into this guy. I'm just going to turn that off. There, select our specular map. And let's go ahead and give the let's see, let's type N. We don't need that, or that. But we do need to be painting. Let's paint white. Make a big brush. Now you can see that he's got his shininess back. Let's cut that shininess down on his shirt. Now on his gloves, I only want part of it. I don't want the whole thing. I'm sorry, I don't want his gloves. Let's see. We're getting his shirt. Getting a little bit more than a shirt. Let's deselect that one. Alright, that's his shirt. Undo, click here, there we go. Let's make sure we're getting kind of dark. Let's of course if I turn shadeless on, then I won't be able to see the effect that I'm having. So switch to object mode. Let's make another light. I'm going to stick it back here. Select this guy again, and let's go back into texture paint. See how we're doing. Just making sure I hit as much of it as possible. And now, let's go into object mode again, and you can see his gloves are nice and shiny. Shirt, not so much. Maybe we want to do the same thing to the pants. Front, back, side, other side, inside, and then let's get the spots that we can't get here. Switch to paint. There we go. So now his pants are not as shiny as they were, but his boots and his gloves are still shiny. Now let's say we want his mask just to take that back just a little bit. Let's see. Oh, still got his pants selected. I'll just do C, Alt, deselect there. Escape. There we go. See now, let's make it lighter there. Of course, we could always go in here and touch up inside here too. But we still want his collar. How are we going to get his collar? Well, let's save this image. And then go into Photoshop. Or your image editor of choice. Select all, copy, close that now. Paste, get the wand, let's select here and here. We don't need that anymore. Sample that, fill that, save it, and close it out. I'm going to close Photoshop out and say image reload. There you go. So now you can see that's just this part of his costume is affected. Well, that's your specular map. Let's do a save. For me, a save as.